Hello, you guys. Sharzat Morgan here. Happy holidays. Today we're going to talk about demographics and dating. Usually, the season for finding a partner is going to be in your 20s. A huge mistake people make is waiting too long. The relationship-oriented people are getting married in their by their late 20s or early 30s. If you haven't found a partner by then, ladies, it's going to be more and more challenging to find someone. And that's a lot of what we're seeing now, especially now that women are more educated than men. We have 3 college educated women for every 2 college educated men. And women want a man who's more successful and more educated, whereas men want a woman who's more attractive. I think I can generalize like that. And so many women are not even going to find a man at all. These college educated men who are attractive and fit and relationship oriented, they're all pretty much all married by their early 30s. So, and the average age gap between relationships, I think, is just like 5 years or so, 3 to 5 years. I copied this from an article here that, and this is something I've talked about before, the marriage market has a profound shortage of men whose combination of education and income makes them good prospects. Faced with remaining single or marrying a less well-suited man, educated women often choose the former. They choose to remain single. Now, what are men looking for in women? They want beauty. They want her to be hot, preferably fertile, childless, and attractive, like not chubby. Those are the women that are in the prime marriage market, and the prime suitors are attractive, educated men with resources or on their way to gathering resources. That's for the young. That's for the young. And these people, when they match up, they tend to stay married, especially if the guy is a good husband. I still do believe that the majority of divorces, since they are filed by women, come about because the man is not a good husband. He's somehow inattentive to the wife because the wife would rather be single than be with some guy who's neglectful, controlling, abusive, but usually neglectful. And these neglectful men are the ones that are left out in the dating market, but we're going to get to that. And then we also have the men who were never able to get a wife in the first place because they had some kind of issues, or some kind of issues. So those never married guys are a huge problem in my opinion. Guys over 40 who've never been married, to me, there's like a red flag there of avoidance or something, but I digress. So this demographics in dating conversation is credited to a friend of mine. He wants to remain anonymous. He doesn't want me to mention his name, but I just wanted to say I didn't come up with this on my own, but this is really good information. So love and relationships, consider, is for the young, okay? Young women have a season to find a life partner, as do men, and the door closes early and forever once that season has passed. It is only now, since the 1970s, that women have financial independence, women can get divorced, they make their own money, and all of that with the romance novels and the Disney and this new sexually free time. We kind of bought into the idea that we can find love and romance even in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And while I do know that people in their 70s and 80s find love and get married, it's pretty rare. And when you do find a partner after 40, you've usually had to make a lot of concessions. You're not going to get the hottest, most successful, childless, fertile person after 40. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to have to make concessions. And unless you really like companionship that much, many people choose to remain single after that. Like, it is not, your chances of finding a good partner are best when you're very young. Some people because they're so desperate for companionship later on in life. This goes for men and women. They're easily swindled by catfishers, con artists, swindlers. They think this person really loves them. Even I've had my photos catfished, and two of the guys ended up finding me through reverse Google searches. It happens to women. The Tinder Swindler is a movie about that. You can, but I think that can happen at any age. So now what I want to say about demographics is that people incorrectly assume that the entire dating market is open to them. You know, older men think that 25-year-old women will fall in love with them. Women will think that some hot, successful guy will fall in love with them. But this is a fantasy, and this is not based on reality. Because gay men are not, for example, available in my dating pool. And neither is a single 35-year-old hot professional guy. He's not going to want to date me. Yeah, he's going to want to fuck me, but he's going to marry a woman his own age. And I've made videos about this, and there are guys like, yeah, my wife is 20 years older. I love her. You're an exception. This video is not about the 0.00001% exceptions. This video is about what typically happens. And then the same thing is for men. If you haven't found your wife yet, and then you're complaining that you're on the dating apps, you only see single moms or fat women because you didn't get in the game before they had kids or when they still had their figure, because the average woman has her first baby at 27. So if you're getting older, and unless you have a lot of money, you can't pull those really young women, and now you're ending up just finding single moms. And also, 75% of American women are overweight or obese. So you want a really hot, fit, fertile young woman, you have to find somebody, you have your work cut out for you as well. It's really difficult to find a woman who's both childless and normal weight, especially after age 30. So some of the guys I know on YouTube, they're just saying, well, just date 25-year-old women, as if there are enough 25-year-old women to go around for all the men who want them. And remember, to get these younger, attractive women, you've got to be resourceful. You need to have some kind of money or resources. You have to have a really good personality. You have to be reasonably fit or attractive. And if it's only your money, she's not going to even like touching you. That's just a fantasy that guys have. Nothing wrong with the fantasy, but this video is about reality, demographics. Now, what happens after divorce? This is where, this is like my experience. In my 50s, I got divorced, ended up on the dating apps, and I came across a lot of guys of all ages on the dating apps who want freebie sex. They wanted freebie sex, made videos about this, or they wanted to just have phone calls, talk to me on the phone. They wanted to know that they matched up with me and schedule a date and then cancel, like they have issues. If you just want to have free sex, go out in real life, meet a woman at the bar, flirt with her, charm her into coming home with you, or do a pay-for-play kind of a thing. Like, women are on the apps to actually meet someone to go out with, have a friendship, make a connection, and these guys on there are just on there for, let me get some free pussy. And unless you're super hot, unless you're one of the top 5 or 10% hot guys, you're not going to get easy pussy. And even a lot of women are waking up to the fact that we're not built for that. We don't want that, no matter how hot you are. A lot of guys also will say if they can't get sex by the second or third date, they're going to just cut everything off. And sometimes women need time to get to know you, to develop an attraction. That is really the healthiest way. I've made another video, if you want to check the playlist, about the problem with the dating now is that women are going a lot by their primordial instant attraction system rather than by their pair bonding attraction system. The pair bonding attraction system develops over time as you get to know a guy. I even had a friend recently telling me that she fell in love with her now husband over a period of time as she got to know him, and as he started improving his looks, lost some weight, got fitter, developed his career more in order to get her. That's historically what men do. They improve themselves to get the woman, but in that, they're improving themselves. They get fitter for her, but now they're healthier. They develop their career prospects, their education, build a business to get her, but now they're more successful. So in that way, men improving themselves to get women behooves the man as well and makes him more attractive to the woman. And often that takes time. You know, the only men that are going to score quick on dating apps are players, predators who are like super hot. So that's not really a good way to meet people. So the dating apps are not good. But even on the dating apps, I mean, I was on there not realizing all of this stuff because no one was talking about it the way that we are now lately more talking about it is, well, I just want sex. If I just want sex, you know, let me have sex with this guy. He's really hot. Maybe we can have sex again and go out. That's not what these guys do. The kind of guys that are attractive enough to have sex with, as I can tell you, and as my book, The Fuck List, is that they're just a one-off. Either they just wanted the variety, they just wanted one hookup, or they're so invested in busy with their careers. I hooked up with this really hockey players. Oh my God. They're the fittest skateboarders and hockey players. And this one guy told me, you know, I really like this girl. I liked her a lot, but I have to practice so much on my hockey and I don't have my phone with me on the ice and I couldn't always get back to her. And so she dumped me. He hooked up with me once, but he was in love with that girl, but she dumped him. I had this other guy who was, oh my God, super hot, Marine, one of the hottest guys I ever had a trophy fuck with. He was an officer, and same thing, he was really in love with this woman, but because he wasn't able at that time in his career to give her the time that she needed, she broke up with him. And he took me out to dinner once and came over here once, but he was really focused on his career. That's what these guys will do. When they're very focused on their careers, they're not dating, but they don't even necessarily have the time for hooking up. They're too busy to hook up, or they know, every man knows a woman requires time and money. You have to take her out. You have to invest time into the relationship. And when they're focused on other things in their lives, they don't want to invest that kind of time. And when men are launching into adulthood and building their careers, they don't have any interest in even an affair or seeing a woman a second time. That's like emotional commitment now. And that's just not on their radar. It's hard for us women to understand that because I think that most women would make time for a relationship, but men often, they don't. They're able to really focus singularly on, and they really have to focus on their careers because that's how they're judged in the world. The same way that women are judged for our beauty and our sweetness and our mothering. Men are very judged for their success, and they're right on point to focus on that. But I will say that a man can go to school, go to graduate school, build his career while he's dating and while he's married. That is certainly possible, but not every man wants to do that, when they're really focused. If they haven't met that woman yet, they're not going to go out looking necessarily. Okay, so now what do we have? Let's get into what happens for women who are divorced after 40. Let's get into this part now. So, like I said, a lot of the guys I met, they had a lot of emotional problems, avoidance, something was wrong with them. They were not good communicators. They were avoidant. They had avoidance issues, I would say. But some of them also have a lot of health problems. And instead of even wanting to go out or even go out and have sex, they would just want to have free attention, texting, phone calls, and it didn't even have to be sexual. So that was kind of weird. Now let's go into the dating market demographics. The dating market is not just one market. It has many different segments. And we're going to break the segments down into, for the women, the ideal woman, the one that is the marriage type, she's fertile, she's childless, and she's attractive. Okay, so I'm going to call this low BMI. She's fertile, she's childless, and she has a low BMI. Like, that's what I was when I got married. I was in my mid-20s, fertile, I had no children, and I was fit like I am now. I would say for men, they need to be childless, able to have children, and fit, and they need to have resources or be up and coming, be educated. So men have their own things that they need. But these are the three things women need. So I don't want to be like men don't need to do anything. Yes, they certainly do. But we're going to talk about women now because I'm a woman. So most of the people who are never married, they fit into the category of attractive, educated, fit, young people with no kids. Okay. They mostly pair up with each other. When it's time to settle down, they're going to pair up with each other. They're not going to date some much older person who already has kids. They're just not. It's pretty rare that would happen. So the man has resources, so he's up and coming. They're married by their late 20s, early 30s, and they will stay married unless the man fucks it up, frankly. So these people are not going to reappear in the dating pool. So these very successful, college-educated, fit men who are good husbands, you're never going to meet them, ladies. Me neither. Never going to meet them. I work with them. I see them. I work with them. I see them at the gym. I've met them throughout my whole life. These guys stay married. I've met women in their 60s and 70s who say, my husband is so amazing, I would never leave him. And these women have very active social lives. They're well-dressed. They're more upper middle class, I would say. But even all income levels. Even women, I know a woman who's been married 20 years. She loves sex with her husband. She's like, I will never leave him. Even though he doesn't make the most money, he's just a good husband. So something like 90% of college-educated white men, 35 to 65, are married. College-educated whites with advanced degrees have the lowest divorce rates in the country, much lower than the national average. So when I look at San Diego and the census figures, it shows me in San Diego that 7% of men are divorced and 2% are widowed. So that would be my dating market. Now, it doesn't break it down by age, so I don't know what ages these men are. But just keep in mind that a woman who has 3 out of 3 has the best prospects. So she's young and fertile, she has no children yet, and she's fit. So I would say a woman by her mid-30s is kind of losing that fertility part. Now, let's go to a woman who only has 2 out of the 3 characteristics. Say that she is 40 years old, so she's not fertile, but she's still single and childless and fit. Or say that she's 36 years old and either a widowed or divorced single mom, but still fit. Or she's a 25-year-old chubby woman. So she's fertile and childless, but she's chubby. Let me go through those again and make sure you guys get them. So ideally, the woman is fertile, childless, and fit. But let's say that the woman is no longer fertile, but she's childless and fit. So she's 48, childless, and fit. Not that great for the guy, is it? Kind of old. Too old to have kids. Too old. Let's say that she is fertile and fit, but she has kids. So let's say that she is 30 years old and she's a single mom. She's still fertile and she's fit, but she's got kids. Not as good, right? Now let's say that she is fertile and childless, but fat. Say she's 25 years old, so she's fertile, she has got no kids, but she's chubby. Say she's 350 pounds or 200 pounds. These women only have 2 out of 3 and they have to make concessions. I think that's what Kevin Samuels was talking about. You're fat, you've got a bunch of kids, plus a lot of them were not even that pretty. They have to make concessions. What would some of these concessions be? You have to get some really old guy, like 15 or 20 years older than you. You either or you get a divorced dad with kids, which to me wouldn't be a big concession. If you're a single mom with kids and you have a divorced dad with kids, but there's always more drama. Are the kids gonna like me? How's the relationship with the ex? Now he's financially plundered with the ex. It's like not ideal. Or she has to go for a man with less resources, like a broke man, a man in his 50s who doesn't even own a house and has debt. Or a man who's unattractive, or she must relocate somewhere she doesn't want to live, or way out in the boonies, because that's where he lives, some broke guy in the boonies. The pickings are slim, so many women in this category choose to remain single rather than settle with a lackluster or repulsive partner. Sorry, and this one goes into what the women have to make concessions. All these guys are concessions. You're old, you have kids already, you don't have money, you're unattractive, you're short, you're fat. Concessions for the ladies. You live someplace where no one wants to live. These are all concessions that women would have to make to be with you. So you're not going to be a first pick. Sorry, guys. We all have to face the limitations. I'm not a first pick. I'm in the next category. I only have 1 out of 3. I only have 1 out of 3. I'm fit, but I'm not fertile and I'm not childless. Okay? So that is a 63-year-old fit divorced mom. That's me. Only 1 out of 3. This category is called unmarriageable, not relationship material. But yeah, men still want to fuck us. Let's go into the other examples. Say the woman is fertile, but she has kids and is fat. That's 1 out of 3. So say that she is 22 years old, but she's chubby and she's got a bunch of kids. Let's say that she's fertile and fit, but she has kids. So let's say that she's a 32-year-old divorced single mom. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong place. She is, 1 out of 3. She's fertile and fit, but she has kids. Sorry, you guys, I get myself confused. In the 1 out of 3 category, like I said, I'm in the one category where I'm not chubby, but I don't have fertility and I don't have childlessness. So a 63-year-old divorced woman with children. I only have 1 out of the 3. Let's talk about someone who has the childlessness, but they're no longer fertile and they're fat. So a postmenopausal fat woman, but she has no kids. Not very good prospects. Let's say a woman, her one quality that she has is she's fertile, but she has kids and is fat. Or the woman is chubby but young and has kids. Like, all of these are bad combinations. I think I repeated myself here, but if the woman has only 1 out of the 3, that is not relationship material, not marriage material. And a woman like that, like what I came up with for myself, is that the only way I could ever even date someone is I would have to be attracted to men in their 70s, like really old guys. Because old guys think I'm the prize. But men my age, they can get younger women. And again, men look for beauty and hotness. Okay? This idea of, oh, I've heard guys say, oh yeah, but I want to be loved for who I am, while they're all chubby and have nothing to offer financially. Like, it's mating. It's biology. This is not Disney tales. So you have to bring to the table what people want. And women want your relation. Well, you know what people want. We already talked about that. So the people, and there are many men, many of these divorced men who were never married after 40, or divorced men after 40 fall into this category as well, that nobody wants to marry you, you're not relationship material. And even if people do marry you, the woman's going to marry you for your money. She's going to hate when you touch her. Do you want that? Or, you're going for the woman because she's young, but she could be a bitch. Like some of these crazy women I've read about, these OnlyFans models that are like super hot, but that Courtney Clenny, she unalived her boyfriend. She was hot. But I'm digressing. Okay, so what do these women do that in this category that only have 1 out of 3 like me? And many women, if you're over 50 and you're not fertile anymore, and whether you have kids or not doesn't matter. I actually think that having kids after 50 is a bonus, because women who've never had kids have a lot of issues, because a woman should have children, in my opinion, to bring out her motherly instincts, to become nourishing. Even though Tulsi Gabbard has no kids, she does have that nourishing energy. But some women become very selfish if they've never had kids. And it makes them less appealing to being in a relationship at all, in my opinion. So I think that having kids who are out of the house is a bonus, because they're out of the house now. So that's not like I have to deal with custody schedules and stuff. But nonetheless, I'm older. So women like me are deemed unmarriageable, but we're still fuckable. We're still attractive enough to be fuckable because we're fit, take good care of ourselves. And that is the only trump card we have. Men still want to fuck us. So I have my Just for Fans, I make money off my Just for Fans. And men see women like me as for nothing but, well, they want to talk to me. They're nice to me at the gym. They're never going to date me or marry me unless they're super old. I would have to make so many concessions to date. I would have to go with someone really broke, really ugly, or really old. I would rather be alone. That's the decision I made. I would rather be alone. And I do have my sugar daddies. Now my sugar daddies just want what they want. They're not going to date me or marry me, but that's okay, because they're super nice for what they want, because they still find me attractive for spending time with me. Put it that way. And on my Just for Fans, no strings attached. And the problem is that a lot of women, I remember seeing them on Facebook, would like fall for these guys and have sex with them right away. And these men would just dump them because they're not in they're not in the wife category anymore. If you're not in the wife category anymore, men are just going to just use you for sex if you let them. Okay? Whether it's sex or home cooked meal or whatever, talk to me on the phone, whatever, it's easy to, fall for that. I even knew a woman who was like married to this very wealthy guy here in San Diego. And she was getting divorced. She was beautiful, so well dressed. She had like many children. And she was going out with this guy that she was so in love with, and he was totally using her for sex. I know, because I made a video at the time when I matched up with him on Bumble, and he started texting me, and I was thinking, I think that's the guy she likes. And so I said, are you seeing anyone? He's like, nope, I'm not seeing anyone. And I'm sending her the messages, and she's seeing them at the same time that he's texting with me. But she was so in love with him. He would just fuck her in his car. He didn't even want to take her to a hotel because she was just a fuck to him. the most beautiful woman. She was probably in her late 40s, he was in his 50s, just a total player. And so she fell for that, love in a relationship, or sometimes these guys will give you a title like, oh yeah, my God, you're my girlfriend or whatever, but they don't really mean it. So wise women will reject all these shenanigans. Wise women are going to demand compensation for that kind of time. And believe it or not, women that are mature are in very high demand among successful younger professional men who realize it always costs something to be with a woman, and they find older women very exciting and attractive for these kind of short-term encounters. And older educated men who don't want to be with someone like their daughter's age or their granddaughter's age, and who want someone they can talk to and someone who's more attentive to them than these young girls who are flaky, unreliable, just going through the motions. They want someone who's like more nourishing, more sensual, which only comes with having been a mother, I would say, and comes with age, like a woman who knows what she wants, who's not going to be all needy and clingy and looking for a relationship. So there's a market, a certain market where women like that can do very well in the providing services for men like that. And a lot of men are willing to pay a high premium for no strings attached sexual access. Whether it's on a just for fans or sensual massage or an intimate appointment like an escort or even an older sugar baby, or some women just have men that they know that take them on trips and vacations, and they do kind of an exchange that way. So that's really the only option left for women at my age. If they still want sex, you should get him to invest something in you in return, because just giving a man sex with nothing, no exchange of resources, like in marriage, women don't do well with that, in my opinion. So my dating pool, if I did want to date, is limited to divorced and widowed men, which are only about 9% of the men in my area. But again, I would need to see it broken down by age, because realistically, my dating pool is men over 70. They think I'm gorgeous because I'm so much younger than they are. And personally, I'm not interested in dating grandfathers, because I find I'm still in my animal spirit, so that's my reality. But I'm not going to leave the comments on, because I know all these manosphere guys always want to lay in on me as this and that, but these manosphere guys are complaining they don't have anyone either. So this is not, to make anyone feel bad. It's just looking at reality. And I had my marriage, I had my children, but, people are not going to fall in love with me because I'm so beautiful on the inside. Everyone is beautiful on the inside, okay? You have to be a package. People are going to look at the package that you are on the outside. What do you look like? Can you still have children? Do you already have children? That's a downside. If you're not fertile as a man or woman, that's a downside. If you're fat, that's a downside. And if you're a man and you're short, or your certain races are not as desirable, like I think Asian Indians are not as desirable. And if you're a man that has no money, you're not as desirable, you haven't made anything of yourself. I think it's hard for all of us. So the best advice is, if you're a woman over 40 or 50, make peace with the fact that you're going to have to make concessions if you want a relationship. You're going to have to get some old guy, some short, chubby guy, some guy who's not good in bed, some guy who has no relationship experience, some guy who's broke. And if you're a man and you're divorced after 50, if you have your shit together, you can still get a really good woman, because there are still people getting divorced at all ages. But if you have any kind of emotional issues, if your wife left you because you didn't meet her needs, if you have a drinking problem or anything like that, no one's going to want you. I'm sorry. It's not. It's not. Demographics. I hope I did this video justice. I'm going to put the link to the San Diego Census Bureau where I found the number of divorced and widowed people. When you bring that up, you can just enter whatever city you want to look up your own city. And just living in a big city is not enough because, like I said, it's the demographics. If you're a guy in his 40s who's never been married, a lot of women are going to be like, why were you never married? You probably are lacking social skills and you don't, something's off. So yeah, I think ultimately the best time for people to pair up is when they're very young and look for that partner. And sometimes I think it's better to marry someone who isn't perfect than to not have that experience of marriage at all, because it's very enriching and it teaches us how to be with people, how to deal with people, even when they're annoying, which all people can be, when they disappoint us. We have to face some of our own shortcomings to show up in a relationship. And being a parent is extremely life-altering in a very positive way, where we have to learn to love somebody else more than us, be willing to get up in the middle of the night to take care of somebody else, being willing to spend money on our kids rather than ourselves. It's a very selfless act, and it's extremely enriching to the heart and to the soul. And those are the things that make us as people. Even if nobody ever wants to date me again for a relationship, they still want to fuck me. And that's good enough for me. Honestly, you guys, I had to make peace with the reality of all this. Once I made peace with the reality, if you watch my videos, I think it happened sometime last summer, when I realized that being alone is a lot more empowering and freeing. And I want peace and freedom more than I want a relationship. Because to me, a relationship always requires some kind of compromise and sacrifice. I told that to one of my clients the other day, and he's like, then you were married to the wrong guy. And I'm like, well, how long was your last relationship? And he gave me a number that was under 2 years by a lot. And I said, well, it's easy to be in love in the first few months. You know, you've just never been married to someone for years, where you had to live where they wanted to live. Maybe sometimes you have to go on vacation where they want to go and you don't. You have to set the air conditioning or the heat sometimes where they want, not. You don't always get your way. And some of the ways that you have to compromise are not going to be that great. Sometimes they will hurt your feelings. They will reject you. They won't want to have sex with you when you want. They won't want to go see your mom when you want. They might not be excited about your little sister as you are. They might have other interests. There are a lot of compromises, you guys, that come with being in a relationship, and some of them were very unpleasant. The sexual compromises for me, but there are compromises, okay? And I don't have to compromise now at all. And that's the thing with today's society, is people are valuing their independence, their freedom, their self-actualization more than this whole relationship thing. Because we no longer need relationships. Throughout history, relationships were something that we needed for survival. And then we brought into this whole romance and fairy tale. And yes, while there are people who are in love genuinely, I don't know how common that is. And not everyone is going to find someone that is totally matched to them in that way. Just the same way that not everyone's going to have a gorgeous body like I have. You might have found your perfect partner, but you don't have that perfect health. Or you don't have that perfect job, or you don't have that perfect parent. Like, everybody has something in life that isn't perfect. And if you haven't found your perfect partner, like I never had my perfect partner, but I have a nice body, I have really good health, I have parents who love me, I have really great kids, I have a job that I love. And those of you who have the perfect relationship, you might not have the great body or the good health or the good kids. You know, like, everybody has different challenges in life. And this idea that anybody can just meet this perfect partner is a myth. But if you're going to find someone, do it when you're younger, because the pickings get worse. The older you get, the pickings get worse, and you have to make concessions. And many people are just not willing to make the concessions. And if you're a guy and you're dating an older woman, you want women your age, women after 50, a lot of them lost their libido. So you're looking at a dried up vagina, a lot of you guys. So fortunately, I don't have that problem either. So, you know, the universe brings us all different challenges, but like I always said, we are spiritual beings in physical form, and the mating thing has a lot to do with the physical form. It's not about finding your perfect inner beauty partner when it comes to mating. The physical form is very important. How you look, what you've done with your life story, your environment, what you've made of yourself. That's mating. That's the animal part. Sorry. Thank you for watching my video and happy holidays.